The council chamber stretched before Ambassador Marcus Webb like the mouth of something vast and hungry. He had seen pictures during the briefing sessions back on Earth, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of standing here. The walls curved upward in impossible spirals made from a living metal that pulsed with soft blue light. Above him, hundreds of platforms floated in the air, each one holding an alien representative from a different world. Some of the beings looked almost human. Others were so strange that Marcus could barely understand what he was looking at. The air smelled wrong. Too clean, too processed. Like breathing inside a machine. Marcus stood alone on a circular platform at the very center of the chamber. His footsteps had made no sound when he walked across it. The material absorbed everything, even the nervous tapping of his fingers against his leg. Around him, the alien representatives watched in silence. He could feel thousands of eyes on him, some that he could see and many more that he could not. This was the Galactic Council, the authority that governed over 3,000 civilized worlds across this section of space. They had been watching Earth for 200 years. Now they had finally called humanity to answer for its crimes. A voice boomed through the chamber, so loud that Marcus felt it in his chest. The translation device implanted behind his ear converted the alien sounds into English, but there was still something cold in the tone that the technology could not quite remove. Human representative. You stand before the unified Galactic Council to answer for the actions of your species. Do you understand why you have been summoned? Marcus looked up toward the source of the voice. A massive creature floated on one of the highest platforms. It had 4 arms and a head that seemed too large for its body. Its skin was dark purple and covered in ridges that formed patterns Marcus could not read. This was Chancellor Vorath, the leader of the council, the most powerful being in known space. I understand, Marcus said. His voice sounded small in the enormous chamber. Earth has been charged with violations of the quarantine directive. Correct, Vorath replied. The Chancellor's platform descended slowly, bringing the alien closer. Your world was placed under observation status 197 of your years ago. At that time, humanity had just discovered radio transmission. We watched as you developed. We observed your wars, your technological growth, your expansion across your solar system. All of this was acceptable under the directive. Primitive species are allowed to develop naturally within their home systems. Marcus waited. He knew what was coming next. But 6 months ago, your species did something that violated the most fundamental law of the quarantine directive. You sent a faster-than-light probe beyond your solar system. You reached out into space that you were forbidden to enter. You broke containment. The chamber filled with sound. Clicks, hisses, musical tones that the translator could not convert. The alien representatives were reacting to Vorath's words. Marcus could not tell if they were angry or excited or something else entirely. The penalty for breaking quarantine is clear, Vorath continued. Your species will be restricted. Your faster-than-light technology will be confiscated. Your space program will be dismantled. And you will be confined to your home planet for a minimum of 500 years while we determine if humanity can be trusted to eventually join the galactic community. 500 years. Marcus felt the weight of those words. Everyone he knew would be dead. Their children would be dead. Their grandchildren would be dead. Humanity would be trapped on Earth for generations, watching the stars and knowing that they were prisoners in their own solar system. However, Vorath said, and the word hung in the air like a blade, there is an alternative. The Council has reviewed Earth's technological development. You have achieved faster-than-light travel far more quickly than most species. This suggests that humanity may have value to the galactic community. Therefore, we are offering you a choice. Marcus felt his heart beating faster. What choice? Earth may accept full membership in the Galactic Council immediately, without the usual probationary period. You would have full rights and protections under galactic law. Your technology would be shared with other species, and you would gain access to technologies beyond your current understanding. Your ships would be free to travel among the stars. It sounded too good to be true. Marcus had been trained to recognize traps in negotiations. And the cost? Vorath's massive head tilted to one side. Earth would be required to integrate fully into galactic civilization. This means accepting Council authority over all interstellar matters. It means opening your world to immigration from other species. It means sharing your resources, your knowledge, your culture. It means that Earth would no longer be solely humanity's world. You would become one planet among thousands with no special status or protection. Marcus understood now. This was not generosity. This was conquest dressed in diplomatic language. The Council wanted Earth's technology, but they did not want humanity to become powerful enough to threaten their authority. Full membership meant full control. How long do I have to decide? Marcus asked. You will answer now, Vorath said. The Council has deliberated for 6 months while your probe traveled through our space. We have been patient. Now we require a response. Marcus looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien species. Some of them looked curious. Others looked hungry. A few looked almost sympathetic. But none of them looked like they would help if he refused the Council's offer. He thought about Earth, about the 8 billion people who had no idea this conversation was happening. About the children who dreamed of exploring the stars. About the scientists who had worked their entire lives to break free from Earth's gravity. About all of humanity's hopes and dreams for the future, and he thought about the choice that was not really a choice at all. Accept surrender or accept imprisonment. Before I answer, Marcus said slowly, I have a question. The chamber went silent. Chancellor Vorath's 4 arms spread wide in what might have been surprise. You wish to ask questions? Human, you are here to provide answers, not to demand them. Nevertheless, Marcus said, and he kept his voice steady, I have a question. And I think the Council will want to hear it before I give my response. Vorath was quiet for a long moment. Then the Chancellor gestured with one massive hand. Speak. Marcus took a deep breath. You said that Earth achieved faster than light travel more quickly than most species. How many other species currently have this technology? That information is restricted, Vorath replied. I am asking as Earth's representative. If you want my answer about membership, I need to understand what we are joining. How many Council species have independent faster-than-light capability? Another long silence. Finally, a different voice spoke. It came from a small platform to Marcus's left. The being there looked almost like a bird, with feathers that shifted colors in the blue light. 341 species in the Council have faster-than-light technology, the bird creature said. Its voice was soft, almost musical. Out of 3,000 member worlds. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. So most Council species cannot travel between stars on their own? Correct, the bird creature replied. Most species rely on the Council's transportation network. Only the most advanced civilizations maintain independent FTL capability, and humanity developed this technology on our own. Without any outside help, in less than 200 years after discovering radio? That is correct, Vorath said, and now there was an edge in the Chancellor's voice. Which is precisely why you are here. Your rapid advancement represents a potential threat to galactic stability. Marcus smiled. It was not a friendly smile. You are not offering us membership because you want to welcome us. You are offering it because you are afraid of what happens if you do not control us. The chamber erupted. Aliens were shouting in languages the translator could not handle. Platforms swirled in the air as representatives gestured at each other. Chancellor Vorath raised all 4 arms and the chamber fell silent again. But the tension remained. Choose your next words carefully. Human, Vorath said. Marcus looked up at the massive alien and felt something shift inside him. Fear was still there, but underneath it was something else. Something that felt almost like power. I need to consult with my government before providing an answer to the Council's offer, Marcus said. Earth deserves to know what choice we are being asked to make. That is unacceptable, Vorath replied. If you leave this chamber without providing an answer, the quarantine penalty will be automatically enacted? Then, I suppose, Marcus said quietly, We have a problem. The silence in the council chamber felt like a living thing. Marcus could hear his own breathing, too loud in his ears. Chancellor Vorath stared down at him with eyes that were completely alien, impossible to read. Around them, hundreds of alien representatives waited to see what would happen next. Marcus had just refused to answer the most powerful being in the galaxy. Part of him could not believe his own audacity. Another part knew that he had no other choice. "You refuse to answer?" Vorath asked. The Chancellor's voice was dangerous. "Like quiet. I cannot answer without consulting Earth," Marcus replied. "This decision affects every human being alive. I do not have the authority to make it alone. Your government gave you full authority to negotiate on their behalf. We verified this before summoning you. To negotiate, yes, but not to surrender. What you are asking for is not membership. It is submission, and that requires more than one person's decision." A new voice entered the conversation. It came from a platform to Marcus's right, where a creature that looked like flowing water held a vaguely humanoid shape. "The human raises a valid point, Chancellor. By our own laws, representatives may consult with their governments on matters of planetary sovereignty." "The human violated quarantine," Vorath countered. "Standard protocols do not apply to quarantine breakers." "But you offered an alternative to the standard penalty," the water creature replied. "Once an alternative is offered, the representative has the right to consider it properly." Marcus watched the exchange with growing hope. He was not alone here. Some members of the council were not comfortable with Vorath's pressure tactics. The bird creature who had spoken earlier joined in. "I also question the timeline, Chancellor. 6 months to deliberate seems excessive if the matter was truly urgent. Why rush the humans' answer now?" "Because," a new voice boomed across the chamber, "humanity cannot be trusted with time." This speaker was a massive creature covered in what looked like stone plates. "Look at their history. Constant warfare. Environmental destruction. Nuclear weapons aimed at their own cities. Give them time and they will find a way to cause more damage." "That is speculation," the bird creature replied. "Not evidence. It is pattern recognition," the stone creature argued. "Every aggressive species follows the same path. Humanity is dangerous. We should enact the quarantine penalty immediately and be done with this." Marcus felt control of the situation slipping away. The council was fracturing into factions, arguing about Earth's fate as if he was not even there. He needed to regain their attention. "You are all afraid," Marcus said loudly. The chamber went silent again. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. "You are afraid of humanity," Marcus continued, "but not because we are violent. Every species has violence in its history. You are afraid because we achieved in 2 centuries what took most of you thousands of years. You are afraid because we did it alone without guidance or help. You are afraid because you cannot predict what we will do next." "Careful, human," Vorath warned. Marcus ignored the warning. "You built a system where you control who gets access to the stars. You maintain power by restricting faster-than-light technology to a small number of species. Everyone else has to rely on you for transportation, for trade, for communication. It is a brilliant system. It ensures that no one can challenge the Council's authority." He paused, looking around at the assembled aliens. "But then humanity comes along and builds our own FTL drive. We broke your monopoly without even knowing it existed. And now you have a choice. You can either bring us into your controlled system through membership, or you can imprison us and hope we do not find a way around your restrictions. Either way, you have lost control of the situation." The water creature made a sound that might have been laughter. "The human is perceptive. The human is arrogant," the stone creature growled. "Perhaps," Marcus admitted. "But I am also correct. You need humanity more than we need you. We have already proven we can develop advanced technology on our own. Given time, we will continue to advance. In a few more centuries, Earth might be powerful enough to ignore the Council entirely. Your only chance to maintain influence over humanity is to bring us into the Council now, while we are still weak enough to be shaped." Chancellor Vorath descended further. bringing his massive form almost level with Marcus's platform. "You speak as if you have leverage in this negotiation. You have none. If you refuse our offer, we will enact a quarantine penalty. Your faster-than-light drive will be destroyed. Your space stations will be dismantled. Any human ship that leaves Earth's orbit will be disabled. You will be trapped on your home world while the rest of the galaxy moves forward without you. Can you really do that?" Marcus asked. "Can you really maintain a blockade of Earth for 500 years? How many ships will that require? How much resources? How much political capital will you spend keeping one primitive species contained while the rest of the galaxy watches?" "As much as necessary," Vorath replied. "And what happens when other species see what you did to us? When they see that the Council punishes innovation and independence? How many of your 3,000-member worlds will start to question their own membership? How many will wonder if they are truly partners in a galactic community or simply subjects in an empire?" The bird creature spoke again. "Again, the human makes a valid point. The optics of this situation are problematic, especially given that humanity's only crime was achieving technological advancement. They broke quarantine," the stone creature insisted, "because they did not know about the quarantine." Marcus shot back. "You never told us. You never made contact. You never explained the rules. We sent one probe into deep space to explore our own neighborhood, and suddenly we are criminals. How is that justice?" "Ignorance is not an excuse," Vorath said. "Perhaps not," Marcus replied. "But it is context. And context matters when you are asking me to surrender Earth's independence." He took a step forward on his platform, closer to the edge. "Here is what I propose. Give me 72 hours to return to Earth and consult with my government. If we accept your membership offer, we will return and begin integration immediately. If we reject it, we will accept the quarantine penalty without protest. 3 days. That is all I ask. And if you use those 3 days to prepare defenses?" the stone creature demanded. "If you use our generosity to fortify your position? Then you will have learned something valuable about humanity," Marcus said, "that we cannot be trusted. And you can enact your penalties knowing you gave us every chance. But if we return peacefully, you will have learned something else. That humanity can be reasoned with. That we can be partners instead of prisoners." Vorath was silent for a long moment. Marcus could not tell what the Chancellor was thinking. Finally, the massive alien spoke. "Your proposal is noted. The Council will deliberate and provide an answer. You will wait." The platform beneath Marcus's feet suddenly moved. It lifted him up and away from the center of the chamber, carrying him toward a wall where an opening appeared. He passed through the opening into a small room beyond. The opening sealed behind him. Cutting off all sight and sound from the council chamber, Marcus found himself alone in a space that was barely large enough to turn around in. There was nothing to sit on, nothing to look at. Just smooth walls that glowed with the same blue light as the chamber outside. He had no idea how long he would have to wait. Hours? Days? The council operated on its own timeline. Unconcerned with human needs or comfort, Marcus leaned against one wall and closed his eyes. His hands were shaking. The adrenaline that had carried him through the confrontation was draining away, leaving him exhausted and afraid. He had just gambled with the future of his entire species. If the council rejected his proposal, Earth would be quarantined. If they accepted but humanity could not decide what to do in 3 days, the same penalty would apply. There had been no good options. Only bad choices and worse ones. Time passed. Marcus had no way to measure it. Eventually, the wall in front of him dissolved and his platform moved again. He was being carried back into the council chamber. The assembled aliens watched as Marcus returned to the center platform. Chancellor Vorath was waiting. "The council has deliberated," Vorath announced. "Your proposal is accepted with modifications. You will have 48 hours, not 72. And you will not return to Earth. Instead, you will transmit your communication from a council facility under our supervision. We will ensure that your message reaches your government, and we will relay their response to you. It was not what Marcus had asked for, but it was more than he had expected. I accept these terms. Understand this, human. If your government rejects our membership offer, the quarantine penalty will be immediate and permanent. There will be no appeals, no exceptions, no second chances. Humanity will be confined to Earth for as long as the Council exists. I understand, Marcus said. Then you may begin your communication. You will be escorted to a transmission facility. The Council will reconvene in 48 hours to receive Earth's answer. Marcus's platform began to move again, carrying him toward another opening. As he left the chamber, he looked back one last time at the hundreds of alien species who had been watching him. Some still looked hostile. Others seemed curious. A few appeared almost hopeful. He had 48 hours to convince Earth to make the most important decision in human history, and he had no idea what he was going to say. The transmission facility was smaller than Marcus expected. Just a circular room with walls that showed different views of space. Some showed Earth, blue and beautiful against the darkness. Others showed alien worlds, strange landscapes under foreign stars. At the center of the room was a chair that seemed to be made from the same living metal as everything else in this place. Sit, instructed the guard who had escorted him. The creature was humanoid but covered in scales that shifted between green and silver. The connection will be established in 3 minutes. Marcus sat down and the chair adjusted itself to his body. It was disturbingly comfortable, like sitting on something that was reading his mind and adapting in real time. How does this work? Marcus asked. How can I communicate with Earth in real time? We are thousands of light years away. Quantum entanglement communication, the guard replied. Your scientists have theorized about it. We perfected it 9 million years ago. Messages are instantaneous across any distance. 9 million years. Marcus tried to wrap his mind around that number and failed. The entire history of human civilization was a blink compared to how long these aliens had been traveling the stars. Who will I be speaking to? Marcus asked. Your government has been monitoring this facility since you arrived. They know you are here. When the connection opens, you will see and hear whoever they choose to represent Earth. The guard moved to stand near the door. Marcus was left alone with his thoughts and the countdown visible on the wall in front of him. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. He should be planning what to say. Instead, his mind kept replaying the council session. Vorith's threats. The stone creature's hostility. The bird creature's support. Humanity had allies in the council, but they were outnumbered. If Earth rejected the membership offer, those allies would not be enough to prevent the quarantine. And if Earth accepted, they would be surrendering control of their own future to aliens, who saw them as a threat to be managed. 1 minute remaining, Marcus forced himself to breathe slowly. He had been trained for high-pressure negotiations, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this. First contact with aliens. The fate of the species resting on his words. 48 hours to make a decision that would echo through centuries. 30 seconds. The views of space on the walls flickered and changed. Now they showed a single image. A room on Earth that Marcus recognized. The Security Council chamber at the United Nations building in New York. The room was full of people. He could see the representatives from every major nation, along with scientists, military advisors, and diplomats he had worked with before. At the center of the group was Secretary General Chun Liu, the head of the United Nations. She looked exhausted. Marcus wondered how long she had been awake. Dealing with the crisis. The countdown reached 0, and suddenly sound filled the room. Ambassador Webb, can you hear us? Chun Liu's voice was clear despite the impossible distance. I can hear you, Madam Secretary, Marcus replied. Can you see and hear me? Perfectly. We have been monitoring your trial since you entered the council chamber. The entire world has been watching. What you said in there, the way you stood up to them, Marcus, people are calling you a hero. Marcus felt a strange disconnect. While he had been facing down the Galactic Council alone, billions of humans had been watching. The privacy of the moment had been an illusion. I am not a hero, Marcus said. I am a negotiator who ran out of good options. And now I need Earth's help. You heard their offer. Full membership in exchange for complete integration. Or quarantine for 500 years. We have 48 hours to decide. The room on Earth erupted into conversation. People talking over each other, gesturing, arguing. Chen Liu raised her hand for silence, and eventually the noise subsided. We have been debating this since they made the offer, Chen Liu said. The council is split. Some nations want to accept membership immediately. They say we cannot afford to be isolated from the galaxy. Others want to reject it. They say surrendering our independence is worse than quarantine. What is your opinion, Madam Secretary? Chen Liu was quiet for a moment. I think we are not being given a real choice. Both options lead to the same place. If we accept membership, the Council controls our future. If we reject it, the Council controls our future. Either way, we lose our independence. Marcus nodded. She had seen the same trap he had. But there may be a third option, Chun Liu continued. Something that Chancellor Vorath did not offer because he does not want us to think of it. What option? We fight. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Marcus stared at the screen, not sure he had heard correctly. Fight? He repeated. You mean military action? Against the Galactic Council? They have 3,000 member worlds and technology millions of years more advanced than ours. We would be destroyed in days. Not destroyed, said a new voice. Marcus recognized General Rodriguez, the head of the Earth Defense Force. Quarantined, like they threatened. But on our terms instead of theirs, I do not understand. General Rodriguez stepped closer to the screen. You said something important in the council chamber. You asked how much it would cost them to maintain a blockade of Earth for 500 years. That question has been keeping me awake since I heard it, so I ran the numbers. The general gestured, and a holographic display appeared on the wall behind him. Earth is in a strategic location. We are near several major trade routes, but far enough from any. Council world that maintaining a permanent presence here would be expensive. They would need to station at least 2 capital ships in our system at all times to prevent us from leaving. Maybe more if we resist. Capital ships cost resources, Rodriguez continued. They require crews, fuel, maintenance, supplies, and those ships would have to be pulled from somewhere else. That means weakening their position in other areas, creating vulnerabilities that their enemies could exploit. The Council has enemies? Marcus asked. Everyone with power has enemies, Chun Liu replied. We have been reviewing all the intelligence we gathered from your negotiations. The Council is not as unified as they want us to believe. There are factions, disputes, competing interests. Some species have been members for millions of years. Others joined recently. They do not all agree on how to handle humanity. Marcus thought about the bird creature and the water being who had supported him, the divisions he had sensed in the chamber. So your plan is what? Make ourselves too expensive to quarantine? Exactly, Rodriguez said. If we reject their offer and force them to blockade Earth, we tie up their resources. We become a constant drain on their economy and military. And we use that time to keep developing. They said 500 years? Fine. We use 500 years to advance our technology, strengthen our position, and prepare for the day when we can break the blockade ourselves. That is insane, Marcus said. You are talking about imprisoning the entire human race for centuries based on a gamble that we can outlast them. No more insane than accepting their membership terms, Chun Liu replied. At least this way we maintain our independence. At least this way we control our own destiny. Marcus looked at the faces on the screen. These were the leaders of Earth, the people who had sent him to negotiate with aliens. And they were asking him to reject the only peaceful option the Council had offered. What about the other view? Marcus asked. You said some nations want to accept membership. What is their argument? A new figure stepped forward. Ambassador Okafor from the African Union. My argument is simple, Ambassador Webb. Pride is not worth the price they are asking. Yes, Council membership means giving up some independence. But it also means access to technology that could solve all our problems. Clean energy, medical advances, space travel beyond anything we have dreamed of. We could feed every human, cure every disease, and explore the galaxy within a generation. Is that not worth the cost? The cost is our freedom, Rodriguez countered. Freedom to do what? Okafor shot back. Freedom to stay trapped in our solar system for 500 years? Freedom to watch the rest of the galaxy advance while we stagnate? That is not freedom. That is suicide. The argument continued. Marcus listened as the leaders of Earth debated humanity's future. He had hoped they would give him clear direction. Instead, they were as divided as the council itself. Finally, Chun Liu called for silence again. Ambassador Webb, you are a representative. You are the one who has seen the council firsthand. You have spoken with them, measured their strength and their weaknesses. What do you think we should do? Marcus took a deep breath. This was the moment. The decision that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. I think, Marcus said slowly, that we need more information. Before we choose between these options, I need to understand something. The Council is afraid of us. That fear is the only leverage we have. But I need to know why they are really afraid. What do they know about humanity that makes us so dangerous? How do you find that out? Chun Liu asked. I asked them, Marcus replied. There were a species in that council chamber who supported me, who questioned Vorth's tactics. If I can speak to them privately, maybe they will tell me the truth. Maybe they will explain what the council is really afraid of. And if they refuse to speak with you, then we make the decision with the information we have. But I think there is more to this situation than we understand. The council is not just afraid of our technology. They are afraid of something else. Something they have not told us. He looked directly at Chun Liu through the screen. Give me the remaining time. Let me investigate. If I cannot find answers, we will vote. But I believe understanding their true fears is the key to finding a real fee. RD option. One where humanity does not have to choose between surrender and isolation. The Security Council chamber fell silent as people considered his words. Finally, Chun Liu nodded. You have 24 hours, Ambassador Webb. Find your answers. Then we decide Earth's future. The transmission ended and Marcus was alone again, the guard escorted Marcus back to a small quarters that had been prepared for him. The room was simple but functional. A bed that adjusted to his body. A bathroom with facilities adapted for human use. A window showing a view of space that was probably artificial but looked real enough. You will remain here until the council reconvenes, the guard said. If you require anything, speak your request aloud and it will be evaluated. I need to speak with someone, Marcus said quickly, before the guard could leave. One of the council members. The one who looks like a bird with color-changing feathers. Can you arrange that? The guard's scales shifted from green to a suspicious orange. Council members do not meet privately with representatives under judgment. Then ask if they would make an exception. Tell them I have questions about Earth's evaluation. Questions that might affect our answer to the membership offer. I will relay your request, the guard said. Do not expect a response. The door sealed behind the guard, leaving Marcus alone. He sat on the bed and tried to organize his thoughts. The conversation with Earth had clarified some things and confused others. The planet was divided. No matter what decision he helped them make, half of humanity would believe it was the wrong choice, but Marcus could not stop thinking about what he had said to Chun Liu. The Council's fear of humanity seemed disproportionate to the actual threat they posed. Yes, humans had developed FTL travel quickly. Yes, they were unpredictable and aggressive by galactic standards. But they were still one primitive species against 3,000 advanced civilizations. Why treat them as such a significant threat? There had to be more to it. Something the council was not saying. Hours passed. Marcus tried to rest, but sleep would not come. His mind kept replaying the council session, searching for clues in everything that had been said. Vorth's anger. The stone creature's hostility. The water being's support. Finally, The door opened. Marcus sat up quickly. The bird creature stood in the doorway. Up close, it was smaller than Marcus had expected. Maybe 4 feet tall, with feathers that currently showed patterns of blue and silver. Its eyes were large and dark, giving it an expression of perpetual curiosity. "Ambassador Webb," the creature said. Its voice was even more musical than it had been in the council chamber. "I am called Jiren. I have been asked to relay a message to you. Several council members wish to speak with you privately. Not officially. Not as part of the deliberations, but as individuals who believe you deserve more information than Chancellor Voreth has provided." Marcus felt his heart rate increase. "How many members?" 7 of us. We represent different factions and perspectives. But we all agree that the way this situation has been handled is problematic. Will you get in trouble for meeting with me?" Jiren's feathers shifted to a pattern that might have been the alien equivalent of a smile. "Probably, but some things are more important than following protocol. Come with me." The bird creature turned and walked into the corridor. Marcus followed, his mind racing. 7 council members willing to risk their positions to speak with him. This was either a genuine breakthrough or an elaborate trap. They walked through corridors that seemed to shift and change around them. Marcus had no idea how to navigate this place. Finally, they entered a room that was different from the others. Instead of the sterile metal walls, this space had organic elements. Plants that might have been from a dozen different worlds. Water flowing in patterns that defied gravity. The ceiling showed a view of stars that slowly rotated. 6 other aliens were waiting. Marcus recognized the water creature from the council chamber. The others were new to him. A small creature that seemed to be made of crystalline structures. Something that looked almost like a plant but moved with obvious intelligence. A being covered in fur that changed colors as it breathed. 2 others that were harder to describe. "Ambassador Webb," the water creature said. "I am Corinth. We have very little time, so I will be direct. You asked in the council chamber why we fear humanity. You deserve an honest answer." "We fear you," Jiren added, "because you are like us." Marcus frowned. "What does that mean?" The crystalline creature spoke next. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Every species in the Galactic Council went through a developmental period. A time when they advanced from primitive technology to spacefaring civilization. For most species, this process took thousands of years. Tens of thousands. They developed slowly, learned from their mistakes, and eventually became stable enough for interstellar society. But some species developed faster," Corinth continued. "They advanced so quickly that they destabilized everything around them. They were aggressive, curious, unpredictable. They refused to accept limitations. They challenged authority. They asked uncomfortable questions." "Like humanity," Marcus said quietly. "Exactly like humanity," Jiren confirmed. "You are what we call a catalyst species. You advance rapidly and you change everything you touch. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but always dramatically." The plant-like being spoke for the first time. Its voice was deep and slow. "There have been 7 catalyst species in the history of the Galactic Council. 7 species that developed as quickly and unpredictably as humanity. Would you like to know what happened to them?" "I think I can guess," Marcus said, his stomach sinking. 3 were integrated into the council through forced membership," Corinth said. "They accepted terms similar to what Voreth has offered you. All 3 were gradually absorbed into galactic civilization. Their unique characteristics were bred out over generations. Today they are productive council members, stable, predictable, and utterly unremarkable. 2 rejected membership and were quarantined," the crystalline creature added. 1 eventually broke free after 6,000 years and joined the council on their own terms. The other died out during the quarantine period. Their civilization collapsed from internal conflicts and they destroyed themselves. "And the last 2? Marcus asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. "Were eliminated," Jiren said bluntly. "Judged to be too dangerous to exist. The council orchestrated situations that led to their extinction. It was made to look like natural consequences of their own aggression. But we have access to historical records. We know the truth. Marcus felt cold. So Earth's choice is not between membership and quarantine. It is between controlled extinction and uncontrolled extinction. No, Corinth said firmly. That is what Vorath wants you to believe. That is what the conservative faction has always believed. But we think there is another possibility. We think humanity might be the first catalyst species to change the Council instead of being changed by it. Why would we be different? Marcus asked. Because of your timing, the plant being replied. The previous catalyst species appeared when the Council was younger and more unified. They could be dealt with quietly. But you have arrived at a moment of crisis. The Council has grown stagnant. We have not had a genuinely new idea in thousands of years. The same factions argue about the same issues while the galaxy slowly calcifies around us. Many species are questioning the current order, Jiren added. Not openly? Not yet. But the dissatisfaction is growing. If a catalyst species appeared now and refused to be controlled, it could start a cascade. Other species might find the courage to demand reforms. The entire structure of the Council might change. Marcus processed this carefully. You want humanity to reject the membership offer. We want humanity to survive, Corinth corrected. If you accept membership under Vorath's terms, you will be gradually neutralized. If you reject it and accept quarantine, you might destroy yourselves during the isolation. Either way, the opportunity is lost. Then what should we do? The 7 aliens looked at each other. Finally, the furry creature spoke for the first time. Its voice was surprisingly gentle. Negotiate, it said. Do not accept their terms and do not reject their offer. Demand better conditions. Demand transparency in how the Council operates. Demand representation in decisions that affect Earth. Demand the right to maintain your independence while gradually integrating into galactic civilization. Vorath will never agree to that, Marcus said. Vorath does not have to agree, Jiren replied. The Council votes on all major decisions. If you can convince enough members that your demands are reasonable, you can force a compromise. It will be difficult. The conservative faction will fight you. But the precedent would be valuable. Not just for humanity, but for every species that comes after you. Marcus thought about Earth, about the divided leaders arguing over impossible choices, about the billions of humans who had no idea how close they were to losing everything. What do I have to offer in exchange? Marcus asked. Why would the Council grant humanity special terms? Because we need you, the crystalline creature said simply. The Council needs fresh perspectives, new ideas, ideas that are willing to challenge our assumptions. If humanity can be integrated without being controlled, you could help revitalize galactic civilization. That benefit is worth negotiating for. And if we fail? Marcus asked. If I try to negotiate and Vorath refuses? Then you will have proven that the Council cannot adapt, Corinth said. And that information will be valuable to the reform factions. We will use it to push for larger changes. Marcus stood and walked to the window showing the rotating stars. 7 aliens had just told him that humanity was caught in a game that had been playing out for millions of years. That other species had faced the same choice and all of them had either surrendered or died, but they had also told him there was a third path, narrow, dangerous, but possible. I need to communicate. With Earth again, Marcus said. They need to hear this from you, not from me. That cannot happen, Jiren said. If Vorath discovers we have been meeting with you, we will be removed from the Council. Our influence will be lost. Then I will tell them myself, Marcus decided. He turned back to face the 7 aliens. And I will negotiate. I will demand better terms. Not just for Earth, but for every catalyst species that comes after us. If the Council cannot adapt to integrate one determined species, then maybe it does not deserve to govern the galaxy. The aliens looked at each other again. Then, one by one, they made gestures that Marcus interpreted as agreement. We will support you, Corinth said. 7 votes may not be enough to force a compromise. but they are enough to start a real debate. The rest will depend on your ability to convince the undecided members." Marcus nodded. "When does the council reconvene?" "In 18 hours, Jern said. "Use that time to prepare. And Ambassador Webb, when you make your demands, do not hold back. Be bold, be audacious. Be exactly what the council fears. Because that fear is the only leverage you have." The 7 aliens departed one by one, leaving Marcus alone in the room with the rotating stars. He had 18 hours to prepare for the most important negotiation in human history. And for the first time since arriving at the council, Marcus felt something unexpected. Hope. Marcus stood once again at the center of the council chamber. 48 hours had passed since his first appearance here. In that time, everything had changed. He was no longer a diplomat seeking mercy from a superior power. He was a negotiator demanding respect. The chamber was even more crowded than before. Word had spread through the council that something unprecedented was about to happen. Representatives from all 3,000 member worlds were present, either physically or through holographic projection. The entire galaxy was watching. Chancellor Vorath descended from his high platform, his 4 massive arms spread wide. "Ambassador Webb, the council reconvenes to receive Earth's answer. Have you consulted with your government?" "I have," Marcus replied. His voice was steady despite his racing heart. "And what is humanity's decision? Do you accept membership under the terms we have offered, or do you accept the quarantine penalty?" Marcus took a deep breath. "Neither," the chamber erupted. Aliens shouted in a dozen languages. Platforms swirled in confusion. Vorath's bioluminescent patterns flashed through colors that Marcus had learned indicated shock and anger. "Neither is not an option," Vorath boomed once the noise subsided. "You were given a choice. You must choose." "With respect, Chancellor, the choice you offered was no choice at all. It was surrender dressed in diplomatic language. But I am not here to surrender. I am here to negotiate. The stone creature who had opposed Marcus before pushed forward. "You have no leverage to negotiate. You are one primitive species facing the combined might of 3,000 civilized worlds." "That would be true," Marcus agreed, "if this was about military might. But it is not. This is about legitimacy, about whether the Galactic Council governs through consent or through fear. And right now the entire galaxy is watching to see which it is." He turned slowly, addressing the whole chamber. "I know about catalyst species. I know that humanity is not the first to develop rapidly and challenge your authority. I know what happened to the previous 7. 3 were absorbed. 2 were quarantined. 2 were eliminated. You have been dealing with species like mine for millions of years." The chamber had gone very quiet. Marcus could feel the weight of thousands of eyes on him. "But here is what you did not expect. You did not expect one of those species to figure out your pattern. You did not expect us to understand the game you are playing. And you definitely did not expect us to refuse to play by your rules." Vorath's 4 eyes narrowed. "What are you proposing?" "A new kind of membership," Marcus said. "One that has never been offered before. Earth will join the Galactic Council, but on our terms. We will maintain complete sovereignty over our home system. We will control our own technology development. We will participate in council debates and vote on galactic matters. But we will not surrender our independence. We will not accept gradual absorption into your homogeneous civilization." "Absolutely not," the stone creature growled. "That would make Earth a privileged member. Other species would demand the same treatment. The entire council structure would collapse, would it?" Marcus challenged. "Or would it evolve? How many of your 3,000 members are truly satisfied with the current arrangement? How many feel like they have real representation? How many believe their voices matter in council decisions?" He gestured at the assembled aliens. "I think many of you are trapped in a system that serves the oldest and most powerful civilizations, while keeping everyone else dependent and controlled. I think you maintain the illusion of unity by suppressing dissent and eliminating threats. And I think a growing number of you are tired of it. Corinth, the water being, spoke up from the middle ring. The human makes points worth considering. Perhaps it is time to review our membership structures. This is unprecedented, another voice argued. We cannot simply change rules that have existed for millions of years because one species demands it. Why not? Jiren asked, their feathers shifting to bright, questioning colors. Our rules were created to serve galactic civilization. If they no longer serve that purpose, should they not be changed? The debate exploded across the chamber. Marcus watched as the council fractured into visible factions. Some supported his proposal. Others vehemently opposed it. Many seemed uncertain, weighing the arguments on both sides. Vorath raised all four arms and the chamber slowly quieted. Ambassador Webb, even if some council members support your proposal, you do not have the votes to approve it. Changing membership structures requires a supermajority. 75% agreement. You will never achieve that. Then let me sweeten the offer, Marcus said. Earth is not just demanding special treatment. We are offering something in return. Something the Council desperately needs but does not know how to ask for. And what is that? Vorath asked skeptically. Innovation, Marcus replied. You said yourself that humanity develops technology faster than almost any other species. We achieved FTL travel in less than 2 centuries. Imagine what we could do with access to your knowledge base. Imagine the problems we could solve, the technologies we could improve, the new perspectives we could bring to challenges you have been facing for thousands of years. He pulled up data on the holographic display. Information that Earth scientists had prepared during his consultation period. Your faster-than-light drives are efficient but limited in range. Your medical technology can cure almost any disease but struggles with certain genetic conditions. Your energy systems are clean but require resources that are becoming scarce. These are not criticisms. They are observations. And they are problems that a fresh perspective might help solve. Marcus looked directly at Vorath. You fear catalyst species because we change things. But change is not always destructive. Sometimes it is exactly what a stagnant system needs to survive. Give us a chance to prove that humanity can be a partner instead of a threat. Not by controlling us. Not by absorbing us. But by working with us as equals. The plant being spoke, its slow voice carrying across the chamber. The human makes a compelling argument. Perhaps we have been too focused on preventing disruption and not focused enough on harnessing it. This is madness, the stone creature insisted. If we grant Earth special membership terms, dozens of other species will demand the same. We will lose all control. Good, Marcus said bluntly. You should lose control? No civilization should have absolute control over 3,000 others. That is not governance. That is tyranny. And tyranny always eventually falls. Vorath stared at Marcus for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, the Chancellor made a sound that might have been laughter. You are either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish, Ambassador Webb, perhaps both. I prefer to think of it as desperate pragmatism, Marcus replied. My species is facing extinction unless we can convince you that there is value in letting us survive as ourselves. So yes, I am being bold. I am being audacious, because I have nothing left to lose. Very well, Vorath said. The Council will vote on your proposal. But understand this. If your proposal fails, the original choice still stands. Full membership under standard terms or quarantine. You cannot refuse both. I understand, Marcus said. But I believe the Council will surprise itself. I believe more of you want change than are willing to admit it publicly. This is your chance to prove that the Galactic Council can evolve. Vorath turned to address the assembly. The vote will proceed. The proposal is for modified membership status for Earth, complete sovereignty over their home system, independent technology development, full participation in Council decisions without gradual integration. This would establish a precedent for other species. Vote now, green for approval, red for rejection. A supermajority of 75% is required for approval. The voting lights began to appear. Marcus watched with his heart in his throat as the colors spread through the chamber. Red and green, mixing in patterns that were impossible to read. The 7 allies he had met with voted green immediately. Then others joined them. Species from the middle rings that Marcus did not know. Some from the lower rings. Even a few from the high rings where the oldest civilizations resided, but red lights appeared too. Many of them. The conservative faction was stronger than Marcus had hoped. The voting continued for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Every representative declaring their position. Every vote bringing Earth closer to salvation or doom. Finally, the last lights appeared. The chamber fell silent as the vote tallying system calculated the results. Marcus could not breathe. This was it. Everything came down to this moment. A holographic display appeared showing the final count. Marcus read the numbers and felt his world shift. 76% approval. They had done it. By 1%. By the narrowest possible margin. They had achieved a supermajority. The chamber exploded into chaos again, but this time it was different. There was shock, yes. Anger from some. But also excitement, hope, the sense that something fundamental had just changed. Vorath stared at the results as if he could not believe them. Finally, the Chancellor spoke. The vote is recorded. Earth has been granted modified membership status in the Galactic Council. This is the first time in the Council's history that such terms have been approved. Ambassador Webb, your species has just changed the galaxy. Marcus felt tears on his cheeks and did not bother to hide them. Thank you, Chancellor. Earth will prove worthy of this trust. See that you do, Vorath replied. Because every species watching this proceeding will now demand the same treatment. You have opened a door that cannot be closed. The Galactic Council will never be the same. Good, Marcus said quietly. Over the next hours, the details were worked out. Earth would have 5 years to prepare for full integration. During that time, human representatives would attend council sessions and participate in debates. Technology exchanges would begin slowly, with both sides learning to trust each other. Immigration would be controlled and mutual. It was not perfect. There would be challenges ahead, conflicts and misunderstandings, but it was a real chance. An opportunity for humanity to join the galactic community without losing their essential nature. As Marcus finally prepared to return to Earth, Jiren approached him one last time. You did something unprecedented today, the bird being said. You forced the council to change. That required remarkable courage. It required desperation, Marcus corrected, and help from people like you who were willing to risk everything for what was right. What will you do now? Jiren asked. Marcus thought about Earth, about the billions of humans waiting to learn their fate, about the future that was now possible instead of the disaster they had narrowly avoided. Now, Marcus said, we prove that we were worth saving. We show the Council that humanity can be a force for positive change. We help other species who are facing the same impossible choices we faced. And we make sure that no catalyst species ever has to stand alone in that chamber again. Jiren's feathers shifted to colors that Marcus had learned meant deep satisfaction. Then the galaxy is fortunate to have you, Ambassador Webb. As Marcus boarded the ship that would take him home, he looked back at the massive council station one more time. Somewhere in that structure, 3,000 civilizations were beginning to process what had just happened. Some would be angry. Others would be inspired. But all of them would have to adapt to a new reality. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy. Not as conquerors. Not as subjects. But as partners demanding respect, and the galaxy would never be the same. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.